Aquarium here. I've been doing this job for about 3 years, but I've done a lot of experience in volunteering at other aquariums, and I have a master's in marine biology, which helped me get this position. So in this aquarium, we've got about 2.5 million litres of water total throughout all the tanks, but it's not all just in one big tank. We've got a series of different systems, probably about 22 odd systems, and a number of smaller quarantine systems running throughout temperate and tropical and marine and freshwater. So we've got a good variety of everything that we could show. In this coral section, we actually like to keep the filtration as simple as possible. It's not like a lot of other marine systems where you have huge sand filters and UV sterilizers or anything. We just keep it really simple. We've just got a refugium where we'll grow caulerpa in order to pull out nitrates and phosphates. Although on top of that, we do have a phosphate reactor, and we have calcium additions through an automatic RO top-up, so we balance the salinity and at the same time keep calcium in the water to be able to feed all the corals. Lighting wise, we've got a huge number of lighting, a huge number of lamps rather. We haven't got that much LED. I realised that was the next thing to go on to, but at the moment we've got sort of 5 or 6 different kinds of halides above each tank. So we've got a range from about 10,000 Kelvin right up to 20,000 Kelvin rated lamps, just to give the complete range for all of our corals. We don't actually have any heating on this system at all, and we keep the water at about 24.9 at the moment, but really all of the heat is provided by the halides. But we have tanks to simulate different areas throughout the world, so we'll have a Fiji tank, some Borneo, Red Sea, Hawaiian tanks as well as a few tanks which are just an assortment of interesting corals that will look good together. So we try and keep that balance between trying to create sort of a biome, sort of a set area of a particular part of the world, but also try and show off things that also look really good together when we excite the public. In the Hawaiian tank, I suppose we've got mostly sort of yellow tanks. When you go in that part of the world, that's the first thing you see really. And also we'll try and reflect the corals back on that. In the Red Sea tank, which is about 3,000 litres, probably the actual volume of the tank is larger, but when you take out all the live rock and live sand in there, that will displace some of the water. Lighting wise, we have a variety of bulbs on there, from 10,000 right up to 20,000 Kelvin. All of the heating in that tank is provided by the lighting, which is a halide that produce a lot of heat. So we do have a chiller on the system to keep it cool when we need to, but don't require any heating at all. Fish-wise, it's really a collection of anthias and rabbitfish, and there's also a nice large emperor angelfish that's been in the collection for about 15 years. With all the tanks in here, you really get a really good view of the fish that are in there, because we don't use glass on the windows, we just use 4 centimetre thick acrylic, so it doesn't magnify the fish at all, and you can see much clearer than you would use with glass. The only downside being that if you need to clean the tank, you have to use much softer cloths, because it's much easier to scratch, and of course you'll have the public scratching it from the other side. In terms of nutrition, we just feed the fish. Well, I mean, we provide calcium in the RO top-ups for the corals, but in terms of actually feeding, we'll just give the fish New Era formulated food. So this is kind of dried pellets and flake, which we can break up into whatever size we need. Different to a lot of dry food where it doesn't just dissolve straight away. It doesn't also produce a lot of the oils in the water that you would get with wet food. So it's really good food source for them. And also on top of that, the amount of protein that you get in dry food, roughly about 10 times what you get in equal weight of wet food. So really we're using a lot less food but we're also filling up the fish and giving them everything they need without necessarily stuffing them completely. There's a lot of smaller invertebrates in the tank. Apart from the corals themselves, we've got the brittle stars and various starfish and shrimp. We don't actually necessarily feed them deliberately. They'll take anything that the fish don't take, but they'll also pick the various other microorganisms or pest anemones that will just show up in the tank, such as Anastasia. All of the systems in the aquarium are linked up through these various boxes that are networked back to our office back in the quarantine area. So if an alarm goes off on here, for example, if the temperature drops or if the system level goes too high, then we'll set off an alarm down in our quarantine, and also for the security for the building. So they'll be able to radio us if we're not in the office and let us know. And also if it's the middle of the night, they'll be able to call us and tell us what's wrong, and then we'll be able to come in and fix it. But yeah, well, as you can see, we've got the monitoring, and then this will indicate automated valves, and then these are the pumps, whether they're on or they're on standby, and if we need to we can just stop the system suddenly and turn it on and off just at the touch of a button, and everything should automatically turn on and off at the right time. Yeah, working in the aquarium is really great, really rewarding job, but obviously it's a lot of hard work and it takes a lot of background reading and knowledge and talking to other experts and professionals to be able to get an idea of what's going on. So it's not just a job that you can just do in your work time, it's something that you really have to get completely involved in.